Today I'm making Daisy Ridley's blaster from Star Wars The Force Awakens. For this build you'll need PVC or a dowel rod, EVA foam, white glue, hot glue, hardware, thin craft foam, a pen spring, green putty, paint, a marker, a respirator mask, goggles, sponge brushes, a rotary tool, scissors, razor pens, or a box cutter. The first thing you want to do is cut a handle out of scrap foam. It's a Mauser C96 broom handle turned backwards, so just trace that onto foam and cut it out. Alternatively, you could buy a cheap airsoft Mauser C96 and cut that up. I'm not going to do that. Also, you could just buy a toy of Han's DL44 blaster because it is a Mauser with an MG42 flash suppressor on the front and other gack glued to it. Trace and cut out 2 handle grips. Trace the handle onto thin craft foam and cut that out. Cut out a notch for the trigger and glue one of the thin panels to the core. Attach a pen spring like so. Use a rotary tool to refine the handle grips and begin coating them in a solution of half water and half white glue. Wait for it to dry and repeat until it has a smooth surface. Should be about 5 layers. I coated the trigger separately so it wouldn't get stuck when I did the rest of the gun. I'm using a wooden dowel for the internal structure. Trace and cut parts for the body. Glue everything together with hot glue. I used 2 brads to secure the trigger in place. So really I'm banking on this prop being, you know, a big important hero prop in the movie that's used for the majority of it. Because if you watch the trailer, Han hands her the gun and, you know, she shoots at the bad guy a couple times and that's it. For all we know, she uses it for that one scene, and then it's never seen again. Either way, I get a cool space gun, I guess. Make the outer barrel out of PVC. So initially I thought I could use these as guide holes for the drill, and it started to work, but then it didn't at all. So I used a really narrow Dremel bit to get these holes all along the same plane, and it still looks horrible, but slightly better than this. And I think what I'm going to do to fix all these is fill them in with putty. I'd rather just make a new one, but I only have so much time to work on this prop. I'm using a sheet of paper for the inner barrel because I'm literally just trying to get rid of scrap, because I get so much scrap. Attach a nozzle to the end of the barrel. When the grips are dry, paint them black. I just used a pen to carve out little foam cylinders, and then I used my scissors to cut those into these little buttons. I mean, bolts, whatever. You can't use actual screws. I mean, I figured out what kind of screws are on the real gun, and they're those kinds that instead of, you know, Phillips, you know, crosses, they have these little hex-shaped holes in them. And if I had those, then I would totally use those, but I don't, so just making it all out of foam. There's a little detail knob thing below the barrel that I made out of a spent spool of thread. This detail was brought to you by my sister Carolyn. Get out of the shot! I cut these little holes in the side that are on the gun on both sides, and I attached those little screws right there. Fill in those awful holes with green putty. The end of one of my razor pens was like the perfect diameter, so I just put that in there and sort of sculpted it around the razor pen. You should really also sand these once it's dried if you've made a mistake like this, but I mean, just don't make the mistake. Oh, also fill in the other gaps with putty and let it dry. Paint it. This just worked out perfectly. Because I mean, you know, that's gonna be hidden by the handle grips when I get them in there. But yeah, just hung it from the ceiling of the garage. Epic Dutch angle shot. Now glue the handle grips on, and oh my god, look at that. Look how good that looks. Oh man, I love it. Fill in those square holes with leftover black foam. I used black acrylic paint this time to make it look tarnished, which is really weird for me if you watch this channel, because you know I use rub and buff like religiously. The last details are the heat sinks. I'm gonna sand those in, but I know the foam would just get totally destroyed. So I just drew them in with a marker, and that's it. Daisy Ridley's blaster. I was gonna call this how to make Ray's gun, but it's a Ray gun. Ah, God, kill me now. If you want to build a more durable version of this gun, you may want to consider making it out of wood instead of foam. Specifically MDF or LDF. Is it LDF or IDF? I don't know, the non-toxic version of MDF wood. Because the foam, while it's incredibly easy to work with, is a little flimsy. Like if you really shook this around a lot, like in a combat situation, a combat scene or something, it might come apart. The reason I make a lot of my props out of foam is because it's quick, it's easy, and it allows much more of my viewers to actually build the props. Because if you make this out of wood, then you need a belt sander, a bandsaw, and you know, those machines are expensive. Whereas if you use foam, then you need a pair of scissors, you know, and a glue gun. Technically, you don't even really need hot glue. You could use super glue or barge. So yeah, it just allows more people to make the props. And again, if you make it out of wood, then you can actually use a Dremel tool or a saw blade to cut these grooves in here instead of, you know, drawing them on. But yeah, the one scene that I'm gonna use this for will be fine. The gun's gonna be out of focus for part of it anyway. But yeah, I'm proud of how this turned out, considering that I built it on the fly and only found out at the very last minute what the gun looked like and what all the parts were. I love that it has a Mauser handle. That's so cool. I'm so glad that they did that. Now we just gotta wait till the movie comes out and see if it's used in more than one scene. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, then you can subscribe, and you can actually click send me updates, and it'll notify you when I post a video so you don't miss any videos. I've also got a vlog channel, and you can check out these videos right here. These are just the ones that are most similar to this video. I've done I feel like I've done hundreds of DIYs now. It's probably 50 or something. And if you'd like to support what I do, then you can head over to my Patreon page and donate if you want to. It's like so optional. I know it says every video, but I don't charge people for every video because, you know, if I just make an update video, I don't feel like that's worth charging people. Thanks for watching. Jake out.